Welcome PPL fans, my name is PaullyMac, and today I have a PPL D2 coach interview for you today. Now the man I'm interviewing today, this guy downloads 3 videos a day. I don't know how he does it, he has way too much time. He is the coach of the Boston Brelooms, Chaosinthesky. Say hello to the people, Chaos.
Hello.
Alright, so your draft was a pretty good one. It's one of my favorite drafts personally. You had a fantastic start.
Thank you.
What kind of draft plan did you have going into the draft? Were there certain mods you wanted, or just certain type combinations you wanted? What were you looking for?
The main thing that I focused on was the core of having a Firegrass Water and then a secondary core of Fairy Steel and Dragon, because I felt like most people would be going for the Fairy Steel Dragon, and I knew I wanted both. But I also knew that I would have a lot easier time off the start getting Fire, Water, and Grass. So I tried focusing on that more so than my Dragon Fairy Steel.
Yes, and that core that you got, the Victini Shaman Rotom Wash core, that is probably one of the most intimidating cores, especially for Fire, Water, Grass, in the entire PPL D2 this season. It was an amazing first 3 picks. You did really well, and then you complemented, like you said, you wanted that Fairy Steel Dragon core. You got Gardevoir, you got Tyrantrum, you got Mega Aggron. So, what plans you have for some of those mons? Like, I know you told me you were excited to use Gardevoir, you're excited to use Tyrantrum. Do you have any ideas that you're willing to share with the people, or would you rather keep those secret?
Definitely, I'll tell a little bit of what my basic ideas are, because it won't really get into anything about what I'm going to do when the weeks come. But definitely, the mons that I have for for Fairy, Dragon, and Steel are what I'm most excited to use. I'm excited to use all of them. I drafted them because I like them. I know almost all of these mons. The only mon that I'm not super familiar with is Sneasel, and it's similar to other mons. I've used Weavile a bit, so I'm pretty confident using it. But Mega Aggron, Tyrantrum, and Gardevoir, specifically Tyrantrum and Gardevoir, just looking over their movesets and their potentials, I'm very, very excited to be using them.
Absolutely. I know you were saying you're doing some calcs with Tyrantrum. You're very excited for Tyrantrum. I won't explain why, but you're very excited for Tyrantrum. Sneasel and Ambipom is your last 2 picks. Some really good low-tier speed there, and some really good low-tier power. Both of them get access to knockoff. Ambipom gets fantastic coverage. Sneasel, just that Ice Dark typing is so good. So are you really looking forward to using those 2 a lot, or you think they'll just come on random occasions, or what plans do you have for those 2?
I was really excited to pick up Sneasel and Ambipom because my main playstyle is bulky offense, and that's roughly what I got. I have a lot of stuff that's got some high stats on one defense or the other.
Definitely.
Like Gardevoir with its high special defense, Tyrantrum and Donphan with their high physical defense, and then Shaman and Victini are both base 100s, and Rotom's got like base 107 or something like that in both defenses. Because that's normally just the way I play, is bulky offense. That's my favorite to run. But I definitely know that from what I've learned of watching the league format and dabbling in it a bit myself, that some weeks you're just going to want something that's fast. And I was near the end of my draft, and I needed low-tier speed, and Ambipom and Sneasel just fit perfectly. And I'm very glad that I picked them up, both with base 115 speed and then with a very solid 95 and 100 attack, respectively.
Yeah, those are some great hard hitters, and I myself am a big bulky offense player myself, and bulky offense does really well in this format. Anyone who's watched the format usually sees bulky offense do well, but with the bulky offense, you've got to have a couple of those fast, hard-hitting mons, and you definitely got those in Sneasel and Ambipom. With your Fire, Water, Grass core, do you see, I know with a lot of times you'll see both Shaman and Rotom Wash used defensively. Do you think that you'll be using them more defensively, or do you see using more offensively with other mons, such as Mega Aggron, Tyrantrum, Donphan being more defensive, or do you think there's just no set, you just have to plan as you go?
I think it's more towards the second one. It really depends on what I'm up against that week, what fits better on my defensive cores. Because, you know, obviously you can't take a Mega Aggron and a Shaman, 2 totally different types, Steel and Grass, and be like, alright, this one works better as the defensive no matter what week it is. Because one week it might just be a fact of that, like for my defensive mon, that Steel works better than Grass will, or if I bring Rotom, it'll work better. Like, for instance, one person has an Infernape on their team. I wouldn't want to bring Mega Aggron or Shaman really as my defensive wall for that with an Infernape up against that. I'd rather Rotom Wash be my defensive mon, and then possibly run especially offensive Shaman maybe, because I believe it gets Psychic, so that could help with the Infernape.
I believe it does get Psychic. It also gets Earth Power too.
Earth Power, yes, exactly. So it just really depends. One of the best things that I love about having my Fire, Water, Grass is that all 3 of them, with their stat distribution, can work very well as either bulk or they can even go offensive. They can't quite go in as hard on the offense or defense as, say, like Tyrantrum, where he's got like base 119 attack, I believe, whereas Shaman and Victini both have 100, and Rotowash has like 107 special attack, somewhere around there.
I think it's actually it might be 110.
I think it's around there somewhere. I know it's a little above 100, but you see, they're not like Tyrantrum 119, really hard hitter. Mega Aggron, I believe, is 130, 140, really hard hitter. Whereas they're more not chip damage, but they don't have the same like punching holes in the team. But at the same time, I can run them in the offensive if I need to.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like if you run it as a more defensive role, just because they have that base 100, they can do good chip damage. But if you run it fully offensive, especially like a Victini, who is base 100, but gets V-Create.
Yes.
That's not chip damage. V-Create is not chip damage, no matter what you run. There's not much that just counts V-Create as just chip damage. And Shaman does get Seed Flare, which 120 base power, I believe, 85 accuracy.
It has like a 40% chance to lower your special defense by 2 stats.
Absolutely. Like that could be huge just getting that special defense.
They are, in my opinion, probably the 2 best of the base 100s. Mew is great and all, but just simply, and Mew gets so much coverage, and Manaphy is really good as well with Tail Glow, but I feel like between V-Create and Seed Flare and just the recovery options and everything else, in my opinion, they're some of the probably the best base 100s.
Absolutely. They both are fantastic mons. They're both great in the format. Bulky Grass is something that works really well in the format, and you have that in Shaman. Victini, in my opinion, is probably the second best mon in the entire format behind Mega Pinsir, but Mega Pinsir wasn't even drafted, I believe, in the D2. So it's just Victini. Victini is, I believe, going to do very well for you this season. Rotowash is going to do some big damage. Let's talk about Gardevoir for a little bit. What do you think? Do you think it'll be a really good special defensive mon for you, or do you think it'll just be there kind of punch holes in teams most times, or what do you think about that?
Gardevoir, I believe, has 125 base special attack, if I'm not mistaken. It's somewhere around there. I know it's pretty high. I know it's pretty high. And it's I want to say base 80 speed as well.
Yeah.
It's not the fastest mon, but Scarfed, and if you speed creep things, it can really punch holes between Moonblast and Psychic and Psyshock.
Absolutely.
And at the same time, it can also, as long as it's not up against physical offensive threats, its special defense stat is very nice, and it can run Cleric. It gives me a Wish Passer should I need it, which will be very nice for mons where Rotom Wash's only reliable recovery is Pain Split, which is not the greatest reliability. And then Mega Aggron, I don't believe, has any recovery other than Rest Talk, which is not the best thing to run in this format, especially when there are plenty of taunt mons going around. But so having a Wish Passer, if I can talk, is very, very nice in Gardevoir. I feel like it's the mon to do it, because it's either, if it comes in on a special defensive mon, it's almost guaranteed to get off a Wish, because that mon most likely cannot OHKO it, and then by the time they switch into a physical attacker, I've got my Wish off and I'm switching into something else.
Alright, yes, Gardevoir is definitely a great mon. It's done well in the format in the past, in both PPL. I believe it did decently well in PPL last year. I could be mistaken there. I know it's done well in other leagues in the past. Now, I guess you could say there's probably one main criticism about your team is, I believe there's only one way to get rid of rocks in your team, being Donphan. And so if you really are worried about rocks, you need to bring Donphan as a spinner every week. Do you think that could be a problem for you, or do you think your team is good enough where you don't need a spinner every week, and where you can sometimes even run Donphan not as a spinner, just as I'm going to be an all-out attacker, or I'm going to be full-out defensive with no rapid spin?
Definitely one of the things that I struggled most with when making my draft and in the process of drafting was the lack of hazard removal. But I feel that Donphan, between sturdy and just its plain ground typing, will be able to fill that role well enough. And honestly, my team is not overly weak to rocks anyways. The only thing that takes super effective damage to it, 25%, would be Victini and Sneasel. And not only that, they are not 4 times weak to it, only 2 times weak. Everything else is neutral or resisted. And Donphan was always my go-to spinner in both OU and UU, and I'm very familiar with it. And not only is it a great spinner and rock setter, but it has also got amazing move coverage that I'm really looking forward to having Donphan and hoping that I can really throw some people off. But I definitely think that unless I run up against someone who I believe will be trying to hazard stack me, or if I bring probably like both Sneasel and Victini the same week, and I really think that they're the most important things, they cannot afford the 25% chip damage, then I would bring Rapid Spin. Otherwise, I don't think it will be as much as a detriment. I definitely see on some other teams where it's much more important, and I'm also quite an advocate of, I think you should have 2 hazard removals. It's the ideal thing for me, but I just could not fit everything else I wanted. In the end, I ended up coming to the conclusion that having just Donphan for hazard removal instead of a secondary thing was better than tossing out another one of my mons to try and pick up another low. It would have had to have been a low tier spinner.
Absolutely.
Or a defogger.
Yeah, and you did have the 4 million left, but that is definitely good to have for your. You have the 4 million left for maybe a free agent, or maybe if one of your mons is not working out, you can even get even higher tier mon, like say Sneasel isn't working out. Sneasel was 6 million, I believe. That you could get a $10 million mon. Then
that's a strong UU.
Absolutely, yeah, you could definitely get a good UU. Like Donphan's a UU. You get something on the same level as Donphan. Some other great UU mons like Slow King is 10 million, but he's been taken. Like mons like that haven't been taken, which I know there are quite a few that weren't. You could definitely pick up for something like a Sneasel or an Ambipom if they're struggling. And then you did mention Donphan's amazing coverage. It actually does get fantastic coverage. I don't think a lot of people realize it. It does get moves like Seed Bomb. I believe you said it gets Play Rough. It gets Knockoff. You have a few knockoffers on your team, which is always great to have. Get rid of items as much as you can. It gets Ice Shard as priority, which is great priorities because Ice is such a great offensive typing. There's so many things that are 4 times weak to Ice. So if there are I know lack of hazard removal has been said as a weakness. What do you think the main weakness on your team is? Would it be that, or is there something maybe you think that stands out as a weakness for you?
It's really hard to look at your own team and kind of say, because, you kind of, when you're building your team, you always kind of...
It's your baby.
Yeah, you look at it like, okay, I drafted this specifically so it wouldn't be weak. That's why I drafted it. So it's hard to look at your team and say, like, well, this is obviously my greatest weakness. But if I had to choose something, I probably actually would go with Donphan being my only hazard removal. I don't really see any other problems. I guess I could kind of see where most of my... Other than Gardevoir and Rotom Wash and Shaman, those are like... everything else on my team is mainly physical. Victini, of course, can be both, but physical Victini is so much better.
Yeah.
I definitely have more physical mons than I do special mons. I don't think that'll really be a major detriment, though, because with Victini being able to run special if it has to, and Shaman, Rotom Wash, and Gardevoir are by no means similar mons. I think that I should be fine. I am a little worried about the fact, looking at some teams where I run mainly bulky offense, some teams scare me a little bit with either having way more bulk than I do or way more offense than I do. But I think there's no really real way for me to point out and be like, this is going to be my problem. I think it's more of, I'm going to learn as I go in the weeks.
Oh, and that's the best way to go, too. You don't want to just go like, oh, I'm going to struggle with this. Because then you're just dwelling on it, and you need to be able to look at something and be like, oh, yeah, I'm going to move forward from this. I'm going to improve on something. If you really need a free agent pickup, every couple of weeks, there's a free agency period. So are there any teams specifically, maybe throughout all the teams there in D2, what is the team that you are most afraid of, or maybe most scared to play?
Well, right off the bat, I want to say E-Storm because he's my first week, and he's just the one that I've looked at the most, and he's got some scary stuff. I do have some good ideas for what I can do, but just overall, E-Storm has got some really scary things on his team. And
Absolutely.
I haven't gone in and done major team building against him. I've just looked at some possibilities, ran a calc here and there when I thought about it. But E-Storm definitely has a scary team with mainly the Mega Altaria is what scares me the most on his team. The Infernape, Salamence is also very scary. He's got the nice triple dragon between Altaria, Dragalge, and Salamence. Registeel is a very good counter for any fairies that would try and take care of that.
Absolutely.
So definitely his team is one that I'm afraid of. If I had to look at one specifically, it would be a really hard pick, honestly, because they're honestly in D2. I wouldn't say that there's really a bad draft.
I wouldn't say so either.
They're all really good. If I had to name a few off the top of my head that I'm thinking ahead, it's not going to be fun to plan for these guys, I would probably say the Tampa Bay Luxrays, Monotooi. He has a very good team.
Absolutely.
Also, I would probably look at Maryland Torterrapins, Kelly, mainly just because of how fat his team is.
His team is ridiculously fat.
He has got a lot of bulk, and it just kind of worries me how I'm going to go about punching holes into that, because that's what you have to do against a team like that. And also, honestly, the Philadelphia Flygons from LacenMC, I'm a little worried about. He doesn't have the best... He has it's going to sound mean saying this. He has a worse hazard removal than I do, because his only option is Braviary Defog.
Absolutely.
And he's not really super weak to it, but between Thunderous Eye and Arcanine, which are big players on his team, I feel like it would be a big detriment. But definitely just looking at his team between Serperior, Vaporeon, Hydreigon, Arcanine, Thunderous Eye, Regirock, I get scared the more I read off his mons. I didn't even say Mega Heracross and I was shaking.
Absolutely. His team, in my opinion, is the best offensive team in the draft. And there are other teams that do have amazing offensive threats, but the fact that his offensive threats get amazing coverage, they have so many different moves, it's definitely something that I think a lot of teams will be scared about, because he has so many options that can be both offensive or defensive, or just coverage that you can't really plan for if you don't know what coverage he could bring.
Exactly.
And that's definitely something that could give a lot of teams
trouble.
So
I would definitely say that the two teams that I'm most afraid of in terms of just going against because of how just scary they are, like Kelly's team, the Maryland Torterrapins, is just fat, and that makes it annoying to deal with, which is why I'm a little worried about it. But in terms of just power, it's Monotooi and LacenMC that I'm mainly afraid of.
All right, those are definitely some teams to look out for. Teams that I definitely think are some of the better teams to have been drafted. Last question: what team are you most excited to play? Which I know you have some really good friends in the PPL. What team are you the most excited to play?
Oh man, that's such a hard pick, because there are a couple of people that I'm good friends with. There are a couple of people that I've seen play, and I'm just like, oh, I can't wait until I hopefully beat them into the ground. And then there are some that I'm just looking at, like, just nervousness, looking at what I have to try and prepare against.
Absolutely.
Definitely, it would be hard to pick. The ones that I immediately think of are, of course, the Philadelphia Flygons, LacenMC, the Wycombe Wanderers from the TheTrojanHorsea, and the Chicago Cubchews from Crater, because they are good friends of mine, and it's always a joy battling them. If I had to pick one that I'm most excited to battle, it would have to be Lacen and the Philadelphia Flygons, because we've been assisting each other a little bit with looking at our teams after draft and all that, and suggesting some things, and just the general crap talking each other, like, oh, I can't wait until I beat you in our week. And it's definitely going to be one that I'm really looking forward to. If I had to pick one of the teams that I'm most looking forward to battling, it would probably be Lacen's.
All right, yeah, definitely. I know you two really, you butt heads, but it's always like friendly. You got a nice little friendly rivalry going on.
That sucks. I'm just kidding. Lacen's a great guy.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch you two battle for sure. I know you two both already look at each other's teams a little bit, and because you helped each other out, you kind of know what to expect a little bit from each other, and that will make planning for each other that much easier. At the same time, that much harder, just because you know what to expect. So then you have to expect the unexpected. So exactly, yeah. You two, that'll be a fantastic match. So I think that'll do it today. Thank you for the interview, and good luck this season.
Thank you, I appreciate it. We're shaking hands. You can't see that, but we're definitely shaking hands right now.
Yes, because we are actually in the same room right now, because we are in Pennsylvania.
Don't remind me. I didn't say that. Someone edit that out.
All right, stay tuned for more interviews, and get ready for PPL D2 and D1. Season 2 for the D1 draft starts next weekend. Thank you, everyone. I've been PaullyMac. Stay tuned.